Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to NGA's Aeronautical Dissemination Team's monthly webinar series. My name is Alex, and I'm excited to have everyone here with us today. We've changed up the topics a little bit since our emails went out. So today we will be talking about the map library, the moving map terrain, and transparency features. Just as a reminder, our webinars are recorded and they will be stored on the aerof.info website and our YouTube page for later reference. As I mentioned, my name is Alex and I am the Aeronautical Dissemination Deputy Program Officer. We've also got Bruce Farnham on the webinar today. He is our Aeronautical Dissemination Program Officer, and I will hand it over to Hilton Software for their introductions.
Hi, good afternoon. My name's Hilton Goldstein. I'm the founder and CEO of Hilton Software. Looking forward to share some of the new exciting features we have coming up in Aero.
Hi, this is Carla Rivera. I'm the government liaison over here at Hilton Software, and I'll be here for some support today.
Please remember to mute your microphones during the demonstration unless you are asking a question. We do welcome questions throughout, so please feel free to speak up or enter your questions in the chat. Our team will be monitoring the chat and addressing any questions that come up. If we're unable to answer your questions during the webinar, we are happy to reach out directly. And at this time, I will hand it over to Hilton Software for the feature demonstration.
Great, thanks, Alex. So today we'll be discussing 3 different features that we will be introducing into Aero app. The first one is map library. The second one is terrain. And then the third one is transparency. So let me just talk about the map library. We're not really in a state to show that quite yet. We're just kind of wrapping up the UI and all that good stuff, and that'll be out in the next release. Well, the one, kind of the first release in 2022. The concept of the map library is kind of simple. Right now, if we want to, for example, if we wanted to distribute the Nellis range chart, we would have to take the map, convert it to MB tiles, drop a signature on it. We would then have to inform people. We'd have to maybe send out an email or whatever it takes, maybe a phone call, to let people know that we have that available. Then the next step would be to actually make it available, maybe drop it on an FTP server or use Safe to actually send it out to various people. That's obviously not a great way to disseminate data. It's kind of a one-off. You'd send it to one person at a time. Maybe they can send it to someone. They could drop it on an Aero data server to maybe distribute that to various people. But it's very cumbersome. It takes a lot of work on our side, NGA side, to actually not only notify people, but to get it out there. There's obviously a really good chance that the people that we want to notify may not be notified. It's just kind of not the right way to do it. So the map library concept is where we basically make our maps essentially like what we call sort of first-class citizens. In other words, we can go there, tap on the map library, and select the Nellis range chart, and it just downloads. That gets around all the sort of hassle and inconsistencies and problems with notifying people, as well as distributing it. So it makes it really incredibly easy just to simply go and tap on Nellis range chart, hit the download button, and bang, you've got the Nellis range chart on your device, and you can use it, you can delete it, things like that. So I'm just using obviously one chart, the Nellis range chart, as an example, but the idea there is to have as many charts as we want in this library that we could disseminate to different pilots who would need those. They would also be sort of consolidated into folders. So for example, we might want a folder called range charts where we could have a whole bunch of range charts under there. We might want a folder called search and rescue where we have, for example, when Houston was flooded, Puerto Rico, we might want those stored in that. Just think of it as folders, just like you're familiar with on your desktop. who knows? We could have any number of folders on there and sort of bundle them in that, and it would basically appear similar to a file system, and you could just go in there and select whichever ones you wanted. The nice thing with the design is it also handles partner maps, and so by using the same design, for example, if we're working with Australia, for example, and they want to have a partner map, it essentially gets bundled into the same system, and it becomes entirely seamless for them. The Australians would just see a chart that others wouldn't see, assuming that Australia would only want their pilots to get that chart. So it's got the way we're designing the map library is that you kind of have a global set of charts that everyone could see, and then you have partner maps where that would be specific to partners. Yeah, it's a great tool for us to be able to very quickly and easily disseminate data. I know in the past it's been pretty painful, actually. Once we get a chart ready, we get all excited. Hey, we got a chart ready, and now we've got to kind of track down who wants it, who needs it. It's obviously only getting out to a fraction of the pilots who actually need it, and then to get it to them, so the map library, you're talking about a couple of taps and hit the download button, and it's on there. We will also ensure that any maps in the map library are have very high quality, just like we've done with the sectionals, the high and low en route, and all the other charts. So it would look and feel, in terms of size, quality, and everything, exactly the same as all the other charts that pilots are familiar with in Aero app, and that's a good thing. So there will certainly be that quality control of charts going into the map library. We're not just going to drop things in there and hope that it looks good or that the size is not too big or whatever. That will be managed by us and ensured that download speeds or download times, quality, and all that are consistent with the maps currently in Aero app. So that's really, really exciting and something that we're very happy to get in there. So the second feature I wanted to talk about, which you can already see on the screen, is terrain. Terrain's it's a great thing to have for pilots, obviously, for safety of flight. And the way we define the reds and yellows is actually very consistent with the rest of the industry. The reds are essentially your terrain at your altitude or 100 feet below. So there's a little buffer there. So it starts at 100 feet below. And then the yellows is basically 1,000 feet below you. And then the rest is just transparent so that you can see sectionals and whatever the base map is. In this case, on all three of these, we've got sectionals, underlying Earth layer. If you look on the right-hand side, what we've got there is we've got the underlying Earth, then we've got the sectional on top of that, and then we've got the terrain on top of that. And then if the user had turned on Airways and things, that would be on top of that. So if you think of the layering order, it's a very natural layering order. It starts at your Earth, then you've got your sectionals, then you've got your terrain, then you've got your Airways and special use airspace and things on top of that. So hopefully that's correct. I'm going to trying to share the screen here so that I can give you a demo of this in action. I know we always have issues with when we're trying to share on WebEx. This is obviously Aero app that you're seeing, and there we are down in Florida. It's obviously really flat in Florida. We're simulating us at 1,500 feet. You can see at the top there, we've got a simulator running so that it thinks we're at 1,500 feet. And if you pan around, you'll see the terrain in red is basically at or above 1,500. It's really at or above 1,400 feet. And then the yellows are anything 500 to 1,400 feet. And then the transparent is everything below that. So we just turned off snap to location, so it stays there. You can also see, I'm just going to sort of zoom in on an area there. The resolution, it's really, really good. We could certainly get resolution above this, but quite frankly, if you're flying very close to red stuff, you should maybe reconsider. So we didn't really focus very much. It's a trade-off between super high quality and file size. And so what we've managed to do here using a very unique way of encoding the terrain. This is one of the cases where we use some proprietary technology. In all other cases, just to let you know, the files that we use, MB tiles and everything, is very much industry standard. We really don't deviate from that. This is really probably the only case I can think of where we actually deviate. We came up with our own terrain encoding. It's very simple, but it allows us to take all this terrain and encode surprisingly small, and that way we can actually get in one file, we can really get the whole world. So you can see we've got the whole world of terrain, and this is in one file. We were even thinking of breaking it up into regions in Army, EAA, CONUS, etc. And when we realized how well we had done with the terrain compression, we realized that we didn't need to actually break it up, and that makes it much easier for pilots and much better for pilots because they can simply download the world terrain file. And that way they don't have to worry about not having a particular region that they're flying to. They're always going to have the terrain for the whole world. So that was actually a very exciting thing for us to realize, is that, like I said, we've done such a great job on the compression piece of it that that we can fit it all into one file. It also makes downloading easier. You don't have to go there and select, I want Army terrain and EAA terrain and CONUS terrain. You just say, just give me terrain. So it helps in many different ways as well. So that's terrain. If I go and turn on things, it'll just simply overlay. So if I turn on, for example, Airways, you would see Airways pop up. I'm not sure if we have the appropriate files downloaded, so maybe this demo is not going to work for Airways. Oh, there we go. All right. So the Airways did pop up. But you can see it's sort of that natural layering where you got the earth, you got the sectional, you got the terrain, then you got the Airways, the nav aids, and all that. Notice as before, nothing's changed. Everything stays the correct orientation, which is pretty cool. It's really fast. Yeah, so that's terrain. Super exciting for us to have. This is using the DTED data set. So it's a good data set from NGA, and yep, looks good. So then, if there are any questions, like Alex said, you feel free to ask now, or if you want to ask at the end. And then the last item I'd like to discuss is transparency. So we have a few things that overlay the map. So for example, we have terrain, we have instrument approach procedures, and airport diagrams will be coming soon on the moving map there as well. Very often, for obvious reasons, you want to see what's underlying that data, whether it's underlying the terrain or underlying the instrument approach procedure. And so we will be introducing transparency both to the instrument approach procedure and the terrain overlays. That way we make sure that you see everything that you need to see underneath that overlay, so to speak. So those are the three sort of big items that are coming. There are obviously a bunch more. I'm sure you've heard of the flight plan filing. Obviously, that's coming up here in very soon, probably in about a month-ish. We're just ironing out a couple of little issues, but we're pretty much good to go now. Yeah, love to hear your questions or feedback, and if anyone else like Alex or Bruce or Carla, Metro, if you have anything you'd like to add to what I said, please go ahead.
This is Bruce. I'll step in. The original idea of the map library came from Dave Arnold at Fort Rucker, and what his suggestion was, he wanted to be able to have a library and every base have their base charts on there. So if I was flying from Fort Campbell to Fort Rucker, I could just download Fort Rucker's and always have the latest and most current map of that facility. And at that time, Dave Arnold was responsible for maintaining the facility charts at Fort Rucker. And obviously Fort Campbell, Scott Air Force Base, they all have base ops who maintain the charts for their areas. We'd like them to provide them to us. They maintain the currency of their charts, and then we create the MB tiles and host them in our map library. So no matter where you're flying, you can reach out and grab the chart for that area. So that was the idea that started all this. But if anybody out there has other ideas, other things we should post, other than what Hilton mentioned, we're open to that, those suggestions.
Hey, this is John Trojanowski. We've actually spoken on the phone a number of times.
Yes.
Yep. No, that's a great idea, I think, with the map library and getting all those maps up. So that's a fantastic idea. I missed the beginning of this this demonstration. Was that shown already, or is that still in the works?
It's in the works.
Okay. Do you have an estimated time of completion for that?
I will punt that to Hilton.
So the design of all that's done, the UI, the back end, we're generating all the files. So we're in really good shape. It's just not going to make this release because this release we're basically in code freeze now for this release, other than a couple of little things. So my guess is maybe April, May of next year-ish. Something comes up where we need to push things back a little. You know, for like recently, so there was some network connectivity things that changed at NGA that we just had to accommodate in the app. So that just has pushed us back a few weeks for this release. But barring anything like that, I'm kind of guessing, and I hate even mentioning a date because whenever I do, I don't want to tempt fate. But I would kind of throw out April, May next year.
Okay. I got another question too. So you were mentioning overlays earlier on the overlays tab. Is there any way for individuals, units or personnel to build their own overlays on Aero app and save them, whether that be, LZs at a certain training area or fueling points or whatever it may be?
Yeah, there are several ways, and I'm not exactly sure what data set you have, but what you can do, for example, is you can take an MB tiles and drop it as a user map. ADS, the Aero data server, will actually convert a GeoTIFF to an MB tiles for you, so you can do that. And then the other data formats as well. For example, you can take a GeoJSON and drop it in there, and it'll render that on the map.
How about like a KMZ file or anything from like Google Earth, let's say?
Carla, do you want to take this one?
Excuse me, I'm sorry, I didn't hear the last end of your question.
Oh, so if I wanted to build a KMZ file from Google Earth and just place a bunch of LZs in a certain training area, or build my own routes, so that way we have training routes, or we have whatever. If I just want to build my own routes and I want to place them on top as an overlay in the Aero app, can I do that?
Sure, you can actually do that right now. I think the only feature that's upcoming for the KML KMZ, this would be for iOS only, however.
Okay. Well, I'm using iOS, so that's good.
Okay, perfect. So the only thing that's forthcoming would be the ability to share them and have the app open them right onto the map. So that's forthcoming. Right now, you can upload them on your own and put them on the map.
How do I upload a KMZ KML file onto the map?
So I would actually have to get back to you on that. If you want to email me, I can send you like a step-by-step process for you to do that. I would just need what build you're using and what device you're using. But if you want to email Carla R at hiltonsoftware.com, I'd be more than happy to do that.
And Carla, correct me if I'm wrong, but this is all documented in the user manual.
Yep. So if you also want to go to aeroapp.info and download one of our user manuals, the latest one should be up there. And then we can always answer more in-depth questions you may have. We also have a quick start guide up there and the link for our YouTube where we have some training videos as well.
Yeah, I've gone to your YouTube site. I enjoyed the videos. Thank you. Yeah, I'm just, there's just some things that are...
Sure, no worries. Sometimes questions just need more in-depth answers, and we're more than happy to do that.
Also on the overlays tab, it does have fuel locations for contract fuel locations, but all the contract fuel locations are the same color, despite if they just take the government card or if they're an actual contract, approved contract fueler. So you need to click on it, and then it says contract merchant to see if it's a if it's selling at the government rate or not. Is there any talk about color coding that overlay to show which fuel stops are contract fuel locations versus just accepting the air card? So I don't need to click on each one and to determine which one is actually a contract fueler.
Yes, there's actually an enhancement forthcoming that will differentiate between the two with different colors.
And I've been trying to figure out how to change. So if I place a pin, is there a way to click on that? I have a problem with placing pins, and then I'm like, nah, that needs to get moved a little bit, or I want to be a very specific grid. I can't figure out how to do that. How to edit the location, whether it be via MGRS or lat long or anything.
So with this next release coming up, which Hilton mentioned in about a month or so, you will be able to edit those more intuitively, whether that be on the map or whether it be on your list of pins.
Okay. And is there going to be a color coordination? Is there going to be coloring options for the pins as well?
I don't believe so right now.
Okay. We're able to file the next release, right? Via Aero app?
Yes. The upcoming release will have the ability to file flight plans.
All right.
This is Hilton. Yeah, that feedback about the pins is really, really useful. And I strongly, and Bruce, you can talk more about this, or Alex, but the NGA team, Aero team, strongly encourages feedback like that. So if coloring pins or modifying coordinates, whatever is very important for you, definitely just contact Bruce or Alex, and we add that to sort of our wish list, and then it suddenly appears in the next release. So
I've sent emails, so
Okay.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
Yeah, and we want to make the way we say it, it's your EFB. So you tell us what you want in there, and that's what we want to do. We want to make it have everything that you need.
Yeah, trust me, I'm on your side. I want to make this I really appreciate it.
Excellent.
I don't want to spend $400 or $300 a month on a subscription. Sorry, a year on a subscription to something, and I don't want my unit to do it, and then I have to negotiate every single year on why we need to say, one day that they're going to just say we don't want to spend the money anymore, and everyone's going to get pissed off. So I want it to be a good product just as much as I have advantages for this thing being a good product as much as you do. So that's why I'm here on this webinar.
Excellent. We really appreciate that. Thank you.
Yeah, no worries. And also the transparency feature. So when you create a route and you make it transparent, the route becomes transparent, but the lettering for each location doesn't become transparent. So whatever's behind the lettering of each location, you still can't see that, and people have been complaining about that.
Okay. I can see arguments, both ways on that. It's like, make the route transparent, but I still want to see my points, or like you said, just make it transparent so I can see what's underneath. But we'll make a note of that and see what we can do there to help you out.
Yeah, because sometimes where the location of so if you go to an airport and whatever airport it is, K whatever, sometimes the name of that airport is on top of the frequencies for that airport. You can't see it because it's not transparent. So either you can make it so you could click on the route where it has the name listed, and you can move it or something. There's a few options, or you make it transparent or whatever.
Often one little trick there is if something's hiding something, very often just zooming in or out basically moves that label a little bit.
It does change,
in a workaround trick thing. Yeah. Hopefully that could help.
Yeah, it does. No, it does, and that's what people do, but people don't like workarounds. They want it to
sure.
work, And another thing too is your APD, your airport diagrams. The only place that you could get into an airport diagram that is geo-referenced is if you click on the magnifying glass on the top left, select the airfield, and then go to the APD. But if I click on an airfield itself on the moving map, it'll say, if I click on the airfield on the moving map, you can click on information and weather, you get to the ADP, but it's not geo-referenced. Can you make every method that gets you to the APD allow it to get you to the geo-referenced APD? And that's something I've brought up via email and call a number of times. So if you go to any airfield on your map, on your moving map right now, and just click on it, and if you go to information and weather, click on the airfield itself. Okay, you're there, and it should say information and weather somewhere, but I don't know why.
We don't have coordinates loaded, but
okay, well, yeah,
okay, I know what you mean. Yep.
Yeah, right there on that. It won't. Yeah, but you need to have it selected through the magnifying glass on the top left, and then go to APD, and then you'll get. It's extra steps.
Sure.
Because if it's not loading, if you don't have that airfield already loaded in, you need to type it in to get that airfield to see the airport diagram. And
No,
that's
I agree. Yeah, I got that. We'll make a note of that. Yeah, we'll make a note of that and get that. See what we can do there. I like that idea. It's a good idea.
Is there a way to get more FBO frequencies when you know, for especially for the contract fuelers? That's a big one. Is you click on a contract fueler and getting that FBO frequency in there. So they do have frequencies and they are tough to find. I'm not gonna lie to you. You know, normally what we have to do is we call or we have to call prior to and make sure they have a frequency, and they normally do. But ForeFlight has them up. And so people were like, well, ForeFlight has this up, so why don't they have it up? I'm like, look, dude, you know, I don't make the program. I'm just trying to make it work.
We get the information from the FAA. You know, whatever information they give us, we bundle into the application. Now, you know, other applications might be paying for data from some third company provider, and that's something, you know, that's obviously NGA's call on that one as to how we get additional FBO information. You know, so I'm going to kind of throw that at Bruce and Alex. But you know, we basically provide all the information in there that we currently get.
Yeah, I'm sure Bruce though can attest that, you know, you go to these smaller airports and you're sitting out there waiting for a ground guide, and then you'll have your other pilot going, all right, who's got the FBO frequency? And everyone starts fumbling through this stuff trying to find the FBO's frequency. Bruce, you can correct me if you tell me I'm totally wrong about that.
Oh, that is a true statement. That happens. The frequencies we have are the ones that were provided to us through those airfields.
So, you know, I'm just throwing it out there. It would really help out with a lot of people. You know, should they all have their FBO frequencies already dialed in before they go on their flight? Yeah, and that's what I tell them, but they don't. And you know, I get what their complaint is, so it is what it is. And you said we're gonna be able to now. When you said you're gonna do the maps in files, does that mean I'm gonna be able to build files of maps in Aero app itself?
No, you wouldn't be building that from within the app itself.
Okay,
that's
so
something we're going to manage.
Okay, so
But
I can't go to Aero app data server, say, hey, I want all my, you know, Fort Carson maps in this folder, or maybe not Fort Carson because you said you guys are going to do all that, but you know, my Los Angeles Forestry Service maps, because we do search and rescue in the Los Angeles forestry area. I want those in one folder, and then I want them, you know, for Southern California, one folder for Northern California. I can't do that.
Not within the app. If you want to store maps, you can store them in the Aero data server, and you can create as many maps as you want, but they're not in individual folders.
Yeah, but I can't separate them out between like Southern California, Northern California, Oregon, or whatever, correct?
Correct. That's the way it is right now, but that is something for us to consider, of us putting maps in subfolders. And obviously that's something I'll have to talk to Hilton about.
Yeah, allowing the users to do that on the Aero app data server. Yeah, that'd be great. And are you doing GeoPDF conversion now to the MD tiles? Is that coming up in next?
Yes. Not this release, but early 2022 is the plan for that.
Is there a plan also to allow users to geo-reference their own, you know, JPEG or any other kind of files? So that is there a plan for that? Because I know it's part of the
Well, what I would recommend there is, if you have a JPEG, you want to georeference it, you can georeference it and export it as a GeoTIFF.
Yeah, you can. You know, you can do that with QGIS and whatnot. But I was, you know, I'm hoping it could be done via Aero app data server, because there's only, and again, Bruce could probably attest, there's only so many, for the Army's computers, there's only so many different kinds of software I could put in an AMPS computer, which I don't know if that makes sense to you, but I think Bruce might know what the heck I'm talking about. You know, I'm trying to get them to approve putting Aero app data server on the AMPS computers, and that's been a pain in the butt already. And you know, I like to put as much software into one thing that I can, let enough features into it, rather than fight for more software.
Right. Yeah, I mean, technically, you know, we could display a JPEG in ADS, for example, have you click on a couple points, let that export it to GeoTIFF, and then do the conversion right there. So
that's what I'm talking about.
Yeah, and we're obviously making a list of all your suggestions. So yeah, that's something else that we'd like to look at. I know we have spoken about it before, and I'm pretty certain Bruce has brought that up.
Oh, yes, we've talked about it before.
If I go to the field and we go to whatever country we go to, and I come in with my government computer and it has only this much software, and then one of the things I have on is hopefully gonna be Aero app data server. We get new satellite imagery, we get whatever for an operation, or we build a new FARP, a new fuel site, or we build a new base and we get some aerial photographs of it, or not photographs, but we get some imagery. It's great to quickly be able to at the user level geo-reference it, push it out to the tablets, and then everybody knows where the hell everything is. Everyone's got we build an overlay. Everyone knows where everything is based on the overlay. Boom, now we're back. Everyone's in business, and it makes that learning curve much steeper. It makes it, that reduces the amount of brief time, reduces confusion, and that's kind of the goal. Because we build all these tents and whatever, and we build a small city, a small town in like 2 days, 3 days. Does that make sense? And what the intent is and what the goal is?
Oh, absolutely. We definitely appreciate what you're wanting to achieve, and it is doable.
Okay, that's one. I think I've gone through my list, so I'm pretty happy. Sorry to bother.
Well, it's that time of year. Check it twice.
Yeah.
Does anybody else have questions or suggestions? Or is there any features out in other applications that you think Aero app should adopt? Capabilities, something that will definitely impact and improve your mission capability.
Hello, I have a question. So I do a lot of the downloads for the guys over here. And one of the things that I was curious about was when I put in the data, I can't just put it directly into the active. I have to go to the standby and then to the active. Is there any way we can just push it straight to the active?
No, not at this time, because currently you'll usually have a set of data in there already that you're using, and you're usually loading the next cycle's data. Now, if it's a piece of data that's associated with the current cycle, it will go into the current cycle, and you'll get a little message on there saying add to cycle, and it will add it. So let's say I had all CONUS loaded, but then I decided I wanted to put in Central South America or Caribbean. I loaded that. It would ask me, do you want to add this to the current cycle? And I just, yes. And
Okay.
it adds it.
It's just that when I buy, 60 iPads and I'm starting from scratch, it takes forever. So, yeah, understand.
That's when I recommend an MDM, mobile device management system, or if you have a MacBook or a PC, you can run Apple Configurator, and it can help you manage and push to all those tablets at the same time.
I'll look into that. Thank you.
Yeah, I got one more. So for the dog houses, wanted to really appreciate the dog houses. That's pretty cool. But doing so again, I'm gonna go to Bruce on this too. I'm hoping you can attest that speed changes are a thing, especially when you're getting close to the X and trying to land there. Doing some form of a methodology for that last and first doghouse for speed adjustments, or trying some way. It's just missing something regarding. Go ahead.
That on the doghouse is the last box at the bottom. It tells you how much to accelerate or decelerate to stay on target.
Right, but if I'm flying from A, B, C, D, and I'm at B, but I know based on the turns I'm making, my airspeed is going to slow down between C and D. I'm going to always end up short because I'm conducting my approach at that point in time.
Sure.
So I can either plan that and it's going to keep constantly telling me, hey, you got it's going to keep I need to predict coming in there 3-4 minutes early or whatever it is, a minute, 2 minutes early, in order to make sure I get to my time on target on time, because it's not accounting for my slowdown at the last leg.
Okay, so you're thinking if you had a different speed on each leg, or if you just automatically assumed on the last leg it would calculate that, knowing that you're going to slow down for that approach?
Right. Yeah, something like that that'll allow me to, that would at least assist with getting better. I mean, I don't think it'd be perfect for everybody at every point in time, but I just know that the way it's being done now, it's going to be wrong every single time, which might actually not be bad, 'cause at least it's consistently wrong. Versus if it makes an assumption, it may be right, may not be, and then I'm guessing even more. But it's just something that.
Yeah, if you're normally cruising at 120, maybe on
Right.
the last leg, you can set an airspeed. The average speed should be 90, knowing that you're going to make an approach.
Exactly. If you're doing, yeah, especially, yeah, exactly. So something like that to account for that.
Or maybe even a plus up saying automatically add 2 minutes to that last leg.
Yeah, that's actually not bad. If you just do a feature to be able to plus up for 2 minutes for the last leg, or because everyone's a little different too on how much time they're going to need for that slowdown, and it's also based on how tight the turn's going to be, what the wind, what the expected winds are.
Yeah, I agree. I can see where the different missions, if you're in a Hawk or a Chinook, you're coming in there, you're slowing down. If you're a little bird, you're still coming in there at 120 knots when you bump up to shoot.
Yeah.
Yeah, we can definitely look at that.
Okay. Thanks.
You're welcome.
All right. If there aren't, oh, go ahead.
I'm sorry. I was just saying, was it Holly that was talking earlier about having the iPad?
Yeah.
You said who you with, if you don't mind me asking.
Oh, MAG Aerospace.
Go ahead, Alex.
All right. If there aren't any other questions, we'll go ahead and start wrapping it up for today. Just for those interested in hosting a training session or having our team provide some training, please contact our team at aerodistro@nga.mil, or you can always email me directly at alexandra.m.marks@nga.mil. As always, if anyone has any questions or runs into any problems with the application, you can visit the support tab on aeroapp.info, and one of the representatives from Hilton Software will receive your request and work with you directly to resolve that problem. So be sure to keep an eye out for some of the new updates to AeroApp in the upcoming release. As Hilton mentioned, you can expect to see the FAA flight plan filing and some new user interface changes. Thank you all for attending our webinar, and feel free to reach out to us with any questions or comments that you have for the application. Hope everyone has a great day. Thanks.